2025 has already been a massive year for anime. This year was packed with heavy hitters and hype titles that everyone is talking about, but today, we're switching things up a bit. Instead of going over the big names again, I want to shine a light on the shows that I believe don't get nearly as much love as they deserve. But quick heads up though, this list will not include any anime I already mentioned in my last video of top 10 anime of 2025 so far. So if you haven't checked that one out yet, the link is in the description. So make sure to give it a watch after this, because today's lineup is all about the underrated gems that are flying under the radar. And let's make one thing clear before we dive in. I'm not considering any of the popular titles from 2025 as underrated. What you will see are the shows that may have slipped past the mainstream, but absolutely deserve way more recognition. So without further ado, let's check out underrated anime of 2025. Kicking things off, we've got Shoshimin How to Become Ordinary Season 2. Now let's be real. Season 1 didn't exactly live up to the clever mystery storytelling it promised. At first glance, it looked like it could be the next Hyoka, with small-scale puzzles, sharp writing, and that cozy but tense atmosphere Honobu Yonezawa is known for. But instead, the pacing felt slow and uneven, and some of the mysteries came off as half-baked. Season 2, however, completely turns things around. It's a clear upgrade in almost every way. The mysteries are sharper and better constructed, the pacing is smoother, and the tension builds in a way that actually keeps you hooked. Every episode feels more deliberate, with conversations, clues, and character actions layering into something bigger. And at the center of it all is the duo of Kobato and Osanai. Kobato still comes across a bit stiff, but Osanai absolutely steals the spotlight. She's layered, manipulative, and unpredictable in the best way possible, giving the story an edge that makes even simple interactions feel intense. The visuals this season are also a big step up. The shot composition adds a cinematic touch that makes the world feel more alive, and the use of silence and subtle details turns even quiet scenes into moments packed with suspense. But of course, it's still not perfect. The pacing slows down at times, and not every mystery lands with the impact you'd hope for. But compared to the first season, the improvement is undeniable, and it feels like the show has finally found its rhythm. Many people dropped Shoshimin after its rocky start, but Season 2 proves it's worth giving a second chance. It's a low-key gem that might not dominate headlines, but if you enjoy grounded, intelligent mystery anime, this is where it finally clicks. Moving on, we've got Black Butler, Emerald Witch Arc. Now, Black Butler is hardly a new name in anime, but this arc brings a refreshing change of pace that makes it stand out even within such a long-running series. The story takes Ciel and Sebastian deep into the so-called werewolves' forest, where myths and reality intertwine in unsettling ways. The atmosphere is where this arc really shines. Dark, gothic, and almost fairy tale-like. It creates a setting that's both haunting and captivating. The plot twists are executed brilliantly, pulling the story in directions you don't always expect, and Sullivan's character development in particular is a highlight. Her growth adds emotional depth and makes her one of the most memorable parts of the arc. The visuals of this arc look stunning. The eerie greens and haunting atmosphere of the forest set the perfect stage, and the animation captures both the elegance and brutality that define Black Butler. The soundtrack adds to that gothic vibe, making the whole experience feel immersive. Of course, it isn't perfect. Some of the early episodes are slow-paced, and a few of the supporting characters introduced don't get the development they deserve. But once the story finds its rhythm, the pacing improves, and the arc builds into something genuinely engaging. The Emerald Witch arc might not be top of the anime discussions this year, but it deserves way more attention. It shows that even after all these years, Black Butler can still reinvent itself with a stylish, gripping story that keeps you hooked from start to finish.
ならばセバスチャン、お前は僕の執事になれ。
Next up, we've got Uma Musume Cinderella Grey. At first glance, this looks like just another gacha game adaptation about horse girls racing in a sports anime setup. But don't let that fool you. Cinderella Grey is actually one of the most exciting sports series of the year. The story follows Oguri Cap, who begins in small regional races before stepping onto the national stage. What starts as a simple impulse quickly evolves into a fierce competitive drive. The narrative isn't overly complex, but the Shunen-style powered races make up for it. Every sprint feels intense, packed with strategy, rivalries, and raw adrenaline that push the show far beyond its strange premise. The visuals are also another highlight. The races capture speed and impact perfectly, while the dramatic presentation makes each finish line a heart-pounding moment. Cygames Pictures really went all in here, delivering crisp animation and a soundtrack that amplifies every high-stakes scene. That said, the concept will still turn some people away, especially those who can't get past the horse girl gimmick. And while Oguri gets solid development, the supporting cast doesn't always receive the same attention. But when the focus is on her journey, Cinderella Grey is at its best. This isn't just a flashy spin-off. It's a genuinely thrilling sports drama. And if you're sleeping on it because of the premise, this is one underrated anime of 2025 you should definitely give a try. Up next, we're thrown into a dark fantasy world with Cleavetess. At first glance, it might seem like just another fantasy series filled with monsters, kingdoms, and an overpowered villain at the center. But what sets Cleavetess apart is how it flips the expectations. Instead of following the usual hero's rise, we see the story unfold through the eyes of a ruthless demon lord, one whose intelligence is every bit as terrifying as his overwhelming strength. The storytelling feels sharp. The battles aren't just about brute force, they're mind games, where every move has weight. The world building also sets it apart from most fantasy anime. It adds depth to the story, showing both the brutality of war and the politics behind it. And the tension comes less from who's stronger, and more from watching how Cleavetess manipulates situations to always stay ahead. The visuals deliver exactly the atmosphere you'd hope for in this genre. It leans into a dark, heavy tone with striking character designs and well-animated fight sequences. The way the plot unfolds creates a constant feeling of looming danger that keeps you hooked. That said, it isn't without flaws. The pacing can feel uneven early on as the world slowly gets set up, and some side characters also don't get enough development compared to the manga. Still, when Cleavetess leans into its strengths, its calculated storytelling, its atmospheric world building, and the sheer magnetic presence of its demon lord, it's nothing short of enthralling. This isn't the kind of anime that will dominate your weekly trends, but it absolutely deserves more recognition. If you're into dark fantasy with a clever twist, Cleavetess is one of the true hidden gems of 2025.
答えよ。なぜ我が死を望んだ。
獣には理解できまい。
Next, we're stepping into another banger from Cygames Pictures with Apocalypse Hotel. This isn't an adaptation of a popular manga or gacha game. It's a bold original project, and that alone makes it stand out. The premise is fascinating. Set in a post-apocalyptic world, a mysterious hotel serves as the last refuge for survivors scattered across the ruins. Each guest that walks through its doors carries secrets, regrets, or hidden motives, and the show peels back their stories one by one. Sometimes these tales are heartbreaking, sometimes hopeful, but they all carry a sense of weight and humanity. Rather than relying on non-stop action, the tension comes from atmosphere and character-driven storytelling. It constantly asks, what does survival mean when the world has already ended? Visually, it's striking. The ruined cityscapes contrast beautifully with the eerie calm of the hotel's interiors, creating a sense of isolation that fits the mood perfectly. The animation might not be as flashy as some big-name shows this year, but the detail in the backgrounds and the way it uses lighting go a long way in building the oppressive, haunting tone. The soundtrack also nails the vibe, melancholic when it needs to be, tense when things boil over. That being said, the slower pacing won't appeal to everyone. Some side stories feel unresolved, which might frustrate viewers looking for a neatly packaged plot. But if you're willing to embrace its quieter, more experimental style, the payoff is worth it. This isn't your typical seasonal anime. It's a rare original that dares to be different. Apocalypse Hotel may not be topping charts, but it's a bold, underrated series that proves sometimes the best stories are the ones not afraid to take risks.
この気持ちがきっと
Finally, we've got Medalist, and this one is something truly special. On the surface, it's a sports anime about figure skating, but at its heart, it's one of the most human and heartfelt anime of the year. Medalist tells the story of Tsukasa, a failed skater turned coach, and Inori, a young girl who discovers her passion for skating under his guidance. What makes it special isn't just the sport itself, but the emotional depth behind their journey. The writing captures both the struggles and triumphs of mentorship, what it means to be a role model, and how much it can change not only the student, but the teacher as well. One of the biggest strengths of Medalist is how it portrays children. Unlike many anime that turn kids into mascots or comic relief, here they feel real. Inori is innocent and inexperienced, yes, but she also faces insecurities, moments of resilience, and growth that feel incredibly authentic. It's a reminder that children can surprise us in ways we often underestimate, and that their struggles deserve just as much respect in storytelling as any adults. The plot doesn't rely on melodramatic twists. It's grounded, heartfelt, and focused on real human emotions. Watching Inori's growth, paired with Tsukasa's redemption as a mentor, delivers some of the most inspiring moments you'll find this year. And to top it off, the production brings it all to life beautifully. The skating sequences are breathtaking, blending fluid motion with emotional weight, while the soundtrack, from soaring scores to the sweet, playful ending theme, elevates every scene. Medalist isn't just a story about skating. It's a story about dreams, mentorship, and finding hope when life tells you to give up. It may not have the flash of bigger titles, but it's easily one of the most underrated and unforgettable anime of 2025.
一番上手になりたい金メダル取れる人になりたい
And that wraps up the list of the most underrated anime of 2025. This year has been absolutely packed with big titles, but sometimes it's the quieter shows that leave the strongest impact. These hidden gems might not top the charts, but they definitely deserve a lot more attention. So, what do you think? Did I miss an underrated series that you believe deserves the spotlight? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.